My name is Chris Doggett. I'm the CEO of Adminovate. I was formerly the CEO of a company named Adminovate that was an Inc. 500 company for 4 years in a row, best company to work for in Philadelphia. And we were a company that was running about $70 million a year with 400 employees at the point I sold to Oracle. A month or so ago, I took our management team down to Kentucky to Boardroom To Battlefield, which was just an incredible experience. It was something that everybody that came out of that was forever changed.
I'm Jeff Mathis. I'm the CFO at Adminovate and spent a little time in Kentucky with the guys here at Invictus. It's more applicable than we would have given it credit for before we showed up. And that's, you asked me originally, what's something you brought home? But the applicability of the lessons being really across the gamut, I think surprised us in general. So, and you're hearing that from a military guy who's been there and watched it translate over, and I still didn't appreciate it until I went.
My name is Steve Shalou. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. Initially, we thought it was going to be just, going out in the woods and firing weapons and doing some really exciting things. But with any of those type of operations or things that we could do, I was yearning for some leadership things and other things to help our group grow. Once we got there, we knew that it wasn't just going to be about shooting weapons. It was actually a whole bunch of lesson learned, a whole bunch of things baked into one that gave us areas to grow as a team, areas to grow individually, and then gave us the ability to really gain a lot of knowledge and leadership and other team building exercises. It actually turned out that firing weapons and those other things were a sidelight to the most important message, which is how do elite professional organizations run and how do you get to the bottom line of becoming better on a day-to-day basis. And that's what rang through, and I don't think anybody expected that, but that came through in spades. Parallels. And I had the unique experience of spending 13 years in the military myself, so I knew some of those linkages existed, but it hadn't been formalized for me at that up until this particular training portion of it. And they are one-to-one transferable. Respecting your team, planning, reviewing successes and failures, getting uncomfortable and finding ways to win even though you're feeling outside your skin. All those things you feel on a day-to-day basis working in the corporate world. And these are experiences that they felt out on the battlefield, which are enhanced by bullets whizzing by your head. So all of that put together, it just really rang true for us that there was a definite linkage between what they can bring to the table every day and what we need on a regular basis. And I spend quite a bit of time now bouncing ideas off of Tom and Scott and the rest of the group if I get myself into a little bit of bind, and they're always open to my questions and suggestions because I think they have a buy-in to what we do, and we have a definite buy-in to what they've done for us. This experience will, I think, put us over the top to reach our goals faster, to become more focused on a day-to-day basis, and for us to not become complacent. And we have the ability to and a foundation for us to go back upon to not become complacent, for us to cherish every meeting that we have and make sure we're getting a lot of bang for our buck, and then just the ability to hold our people accountable for what they say and what they do and how we hold each other accountable through respect, through setting standards, through after action reviews, and other tool sets that we've have been taught and we are utilizing. I think will catapult us further ahead than we ever would have been. I think the marketplace was worried about our entry, and now with the training we've had from Invictus, I would have to confirm that they need to be really afraid.
I'm telling you, it is hands down, and I've been through a lot of this training, a lot of these sorts of events that are confidence builders, leadership training, having done that in college, having done that a lot of different ways and been in a lot of organizations. I'm telling you, I recommend it over all of them because first, you don't get to deal with people of this caliber very often. You don't know many people of this caliber. They're hard to find. And Invictus has been hard to find. I'm telling you, hands down, their program, even in its initial stages in building how they're going to go about this, is better than any of the other I've done. And part of it was a team building exercise, though really that wasn't the intent. That wasn't necessarily why we were there. I think we told ourselves we were, but really that's not what we approached it as. But when we came home, there was a camaraderie element that was part of it. From, you know, I don't know how they melded all that together, but they did, and it was exceptionally good for that. But it was a confidence builder for folks who needed it. And if I had to pick, if I was building a young leader program in my company, that would be where I would go. I don't think there's any. I would make my budget fit what they do. And it not only is it a training and education, but it's a reward. I mean, it's a reward program. It fits a lot of things we do because it's fun. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a whole lot of things I can say I truly enjoy about leadership training, because we all kind of go through the rote motions of leadership and management and all that sort of stuff. This is an entirely different approach to it, and it was, you know, in the end, it's easy to look back and say, yes, we learned all that stuff, but while you're doing it, it doesn't feel like it's an education. It feels like it's entertainment. So it's, you know, they've struck that balance well. They're going to succeed because of it. And it's hard to tell you without you having been there, but I can tell you, you'll come back going, I want to do that again. We need to get people here. They've practiced what they preached. This is not a sanitized classroom that they're teaching in. This is not from their education. This is from their practical application. They've lived what they're telling us, and they practice it, and you can tell it. There's not a sanitized bit of what they're doing. This is a pure practical exercise. It is. It's not from anything they've pulled from a book. It's here, we've been here, we lived this, here's how we took this lesson, and here's how we applied it, and some of this stuff we don't buy, we do. It's a practical application world. They come up and help us through learning how to, and the biggest part of this is y'all teach us how to go back and take lessons and apply them tomorrow. Again, very hard for people to look back and say we did this poorly because we succeeded at it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't find spots to make it more efficient, better, faster, a whole lot of things. We want them involved because they are exceptionally good, again, at identifying weak spots and trying to find a practical application to fix the weak spot, or we respect them enough. Only having spent a week with them, there's enough mutual respect here that we want their opinion. We absolutely value what they're telling us about what they see, and they have this innate ability to sit back and, in very short period of time, pick out personalities, to pick out what your strengths and weaknesses are. They're exceptionally good at that because they've had to be. This open willingness to identify your weaknesses and deal with them. You know, they call this an elite organization deal, and most of the folks in it struggle mightily with admitting weak spots and dealing with them. And they're saying the only way you become the best, the good to great, and Scott Spooner talks good to great a lot because it was one of the first books he read transitioning from where he was into the business world. And you don't go there without first striving to be great, without saying, my goal at the end of this is to be the best. And frankly, having been the best, he knows that, he gets that, he understands the commitment that takes. But it's also a commitment to say, to be honest with myself, and they're brutally honest with themselves, to say, I've got something I have to go deal with to get from here to there. Even though here's probably good enough or okay, it's still the commitment to say, if I don't want to be the best at it, I'm not going to endeavor to do it. And I think that's the lasting piece of this that we're going to take, and I can't impress upon people enough. That's a big hurdle to overcome, or to begin to come to grips with how you apply that to your organization, and I think they help us with that.
Invictus is the single best thing you can do for your management team, bar none. This is an experience that your team will forever be changed by and benefit from for the life of your company.